All right. Thank you for reminding me for recording. This will be a good recording. All right. No worries. We've already done grammar, but now we're moving somewhere else. Okay. And what I want to show you is, so what do you guys see on my screen?
See a garden.
Okay. All right. So I named this called the Hebraic living roots. Okay. Everything that's planted that is alive has roots to it. Okay. Like a family, like a tree, like a plant, like a fruit, like a vegetable. Anything that's worthy of growing, it has to be planted. Okay. And it's planted in soil. The soil has to be good in order for something to grow. If it doesn't have what it needs in it, it's not going to grow. Okay. So I want you to think about your brain and your mind being soil. Okay. And we have to cultivate the soil, right? We have to pull out some weeds. We have to remove some rocks, some stones. We have to prepare it in order for things to grow. Okay. So what we're doing as we plant our roots is we're going through and we're cultivating, the soil when we put these seeds in here. So that's what we're doing. We're kind of simultaneously doing that. By you coming to class, that means that you're being cultivated. Things are changing for you. Okay. So this is called the Lashon HaKodesh. And I want you to feel free to ask any questions, okay, that you have, because that's what this is about. All right. Um, go here. Why is it not moving? Why is it not behaving? Okay, here you go. Behave. All right, here we go. All right. So there's a word called shoreshim. Okay. A shoreshim, and you'll hear someone may say this, and in the future, you're like, okay, I know what that is. It's called the shoresh. Shoresh. Resh. Okay. Shoreshim. Okay. The eam right here is plural. The shoresh, the resh right here is what? We know the resh is a head. Okay. And so the head has to do with the roots. Like, where is it coming from? The beginning of things. It comes from the roots. So the shoreshim are the roots of where words come from. And I want you to know where the words come from. So in the Hebrew, there's several root systems. Okay. One is called a parent root. The next one is called a child. Okay. Let's see here. One is called a child root. And if you need to ask a question, just unmute yourself. Okay. So one is called a parent root. One is called a child root. And one is called an adopted root. To be adopted, like into the family. Okay. So this is about, so what the root system literally is, you guys, it's a family. All right. So roots tell you about a family, like family roots. What's the family? Who's in the family? Tell me who the parents are. Tell me who the child is. Tell me who did you adopt into your family. Okay. That's all this language is. So every letter in the alphabet, the aleph and the bet and the gamil and the dalit and the hay and all these letters, okay, they are families. That's how I want you to look at it. I don't want you to look at it just as being letters. I want you to look at it as it being a family, okay, a family of letters. So, you know, the aleph is going to have a certain amount of roots, right? And the bet's going to have a certain amount of roots there. And generally, the amount of roots that a language, this in particular language, can have is literally, you're always going to have a parent. You're always going to have two parents. You can't have one parent. It's not a single parent household. It has to be two parents right here. Okay. And so because there's two parents, okay, the two parents, one has to be a male and one has to be a female. Okay. One has to be first and then the second one and the next letter after the second. So for example, in our word for father, Av, the first letter is this one right here. Okay. That will be the father. Okay. And this will be the mother. Okay. And if I was to have a child, I would throw another letter on here. Okay. Okay. That would be the child. That's how it works. So when you're talking about a root system,
Kind of went out a little bit. I don't know. Can't hear. Then it came back in.
okay. So again, the root system has parent roots and a child root. Okay. When you're dealing with a parent, there always has to be two parents. So in this case, it's going to be two letters. Okay. And I gave an example, and the name for father is Av, an Aleph and a Bet. Okay. So the first letter in any root is going to be the father, because I'm trying to teach you how to look at things from a family perspective. Okay. The second letter is going to be the mother. This is the mom. And then if you were to have a child, that would be the third letter. That would be the child. Okay. So when we look at roots, all roots start off with how many letters?
3.
According to what we just learned,
3.
it's
2.
going to be 2.
Oh.
Tell me why 2.
The mother and the father.
Thank you. It's always going to start with the mother and the father. You know how some couples can have a child and some of them can't? You know what I'm saying? So some parents only have a few kids and some parents have a whole bunch of kids. Okay. This is how I want you to look at it. So the reason why when you got a 3-letter root, that's a child root. Okay. So parents are 2-letter roots, like your father, Av, and your mother, Aim. Okay. Those are roots. Those are right. Those are those things. When you got a child, the child root will have 3 letters. And then and if I had Av right here and I threw another bet on it like this, that's a child root. But I know the parents are the Av, the Aleph, and the Bet. And this one right here would be the child. You see? So the child is going to always be 3 letters and the parents are always going to be 2 letters. So the way that you can recognize what's a parent root, it would be 2 letters. Because remember, you have both parents and child. Now, a majority of the Hebrew language is written in the 3-letter root. So you are correct. A majority of all the words in the roots, especially in verbs, are always going to be the 3-letter root system. It's always going to be child roots. Okay. But if you want to find out who the parent is, okay, or you want to know where the root comes from and what's its characteristics, you got to go back to the parent to really find out what it truly means. Okay. So I'm going to write out a word. Hopefully this thing will work. This word right here is what? It's an Aleph and a Bet. What is it? What is it called? Somebody tell me.
Av.
Av. Perfect. So Av is father. Okay. Right. So it's this first letter and this is 2 letters. So it's a root. Okay. Now, if I was to throw on an extra letter on the end right here, it would become what kind of root now?
Child.
The child root, because it has how many letters?
3.
3. Okay. So if I was to write out this now, it would be a Aleph, right? In English, transliterating, a B, right? And then another B. All I got to do is put a vowel in there. And it's called the word Aviv. Okay. Does anybody know what Aviv means?
Isn't that the first month of the
Yes,
year?
it is perfectly. Yes, it's the first month. It's our new year. Today is not the new year. Today is not the new year. It's the first month of our calendar. It's the month of Aviv, and you can find that in Exodus chapter number 12. We're not going to go there. I'm just going to write it up here for you so you can find out. So you go to BibleHub.com and you look at it, and Yahweh told Moshe, tell the children of Israel, this is going to be the first month unto you. The first month. Okay.
Cain.
So tell me, what is Aviv beside it being the first month? What does it mean?
April.
April or mid-March or April. And we know that as a time of what? Spring.
Spring.
Body.
Spring.
Yeah.
Yes. Spring. So but what's inside of the word Aviv that tells you what else is about this word? Who's the parent? What's the parent of this word?
Father.
Father. So the father, right? The father is part of this word. Okay. Right. And also, when we looked it up in its ancient form, it would have to do with that which is green. It's called Aviv. It's the first green thing that first little green leaf that you see.
Cane, body. Cane.
You see? So it's about freshness. You understand? About growth, about development. So where would the spring come from? You just said it. It comes from the Father. But the Father is not just part of it. If we look at the word Father, Av, what's the first letter mean in its ancient understanding? What's the first letter of Av? It's an Aleph, right? So what does Aleph mean? What does the first letter Aleph mean?
Ox.
It's an ox. It's an ox head, right? So what I'm trying to show you is there's more than just one way of looking at this. It's an ox head, right? And what does an ox head represent?
Strength.
Strength, correct? Right. So it's the strength. And what's the next letter of Father?
Bet.
A big
Bet. And what does a bet represent?
Tent.
A tent.
house.
A house, a dwelling. Okay. So a father is what? He's the strength of the house. He's the strength of the dwelling. You understand? So you need a father in the home and for the house in order to be strong. You need strength inside the tent in order for it to be straight up. This word also is used as a pole. Okay. There's a word in here for Av that has to do with the pole, meaning the strength of the tent. So it's not just like an abstract term of just strength. No, you have to have something associated with strength. Okay. So the ox is not living inside the tent. We don't supposed to be like we're supposed to have the not the mannerisms, but the strength of an ox, meaning the stability to be able to carry the family. But what keeps a tent up is a pole. Okay. So you will find this in these understandings of the root. So what I'm trying to show you is that, yes, the father, just this root right here tells you that, listen, this is a parent root. But if I wanted to add another letter to it, it would be the child root. And whatever root and whatever child root I add onto that, or whatever word I come out and make it 3 letters, the function of it will have some very similar traits of the father. It has something to do with strength, just like Aviv has something to do with the father, has something to do with strength. It has to do with the strength of the house. Now, if you think of spring and these brand new growth and development, why are we growing and developing things? Why did y'all give us the green things? What are we supposed to use with that? What's the purpose of growing anything in springtime and associated with the strength of the house?
Harvest.
Huh?
The harvest.
Yes, because you need a harvest, because if you don't have a harvest, you won't have no food. And the food is what strengthens what? It strengthens the house. So you can continue the house with sons and daughters and grandchildren and so forth and so on. And you can strengthen yourself, and the father can be able to defend himself. Now, listen, one of the words too that is part of a father, like for example, I'll put father here again. Forgive my handwriting. I'm just trying to show you all the different ways that you could do this. Okay. If I put a yod in front of this word, in front of father, guess what this word means? I'll use in English, Eov or Job. That's his name, Job. But his real name is Eov. Okay. Eov means something. It means this is what Job thought that he was being treated as. He is being treated as an enemy. That's what that word means, enemy. That's what Eov means. Job, it means an enemy. So you ask yourself, well, why is this important? If you put that Yod in front of a Av, the word is called Eov, okay, or Yov. And when you have Yov, it means an enemy. Why is this how's an enemy attached to the father? Why would they attach a Yod? And a Yod, okay, let me slow down. What does a Yod represent? Does anybody remember what the Yod represents? The little list that I gave you?
The arm or the hand.
The hand. Yes, it's a hand. Okay. So a hand that's going against a father is somebody who's a enemy. The father's there to protect the house against an enemy. Anybody that comes and raises their hand against the father is an enemy. That's why they use that word. That's why they use that word as Eov, okay, or Yov, because you're an enemy. Anybody that raises their hand against the house, the father, is one who's an enemy. You see? And the father's there to protect the family from the enemy. And when he has to protect the tent and somebody came against the tent, one of the first things he would grab is either a knife or he would grab the pole that holds the tent up. No volume. Hopefully you can hear me. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So do you guys see the word associations? Can you guys identify and see what I'm saying? So
Yes.
when we're talking about the tent, when we're talking about the father has a tent pole. The tent pole can be used against an enemy. So you're going to have word associations that go along with father. So when we have the root father, you can add letters onto the front of father. You can add letters onto the end of father. You can add letters into the middle of father, and it will give you a different meaning, but it has association. Okay, you have some type of association of the word. All right. Let's deal with this word right here. What does it say? What's this word? How do you say it?
Roach.
Roach. Yes, it's a roach. And what does a roach do? Oh, what is it? A roach is a head. It's your head. Okay. And it can be used for a summit. This is why I'm using this particular picture to show you it's the top of something. It's the first of something. So question, if I was to take this mountain here at the top right here, where did the mountain start? Did it start down here or did it start up here?
Started from the bottom.
Wrong. This is the top of the mountain, meaning that the mountain had to be lifted up. This right here was down here before the Holy One of Israel caused it to rise. It's always going to be the opposite of what you and I think. Okay. So we'll look at the top and like, oh, that's the top. That's not the beginning. Yes, it is the beginning. You understand? So when it talked about Yah coming into the universe and he's coming in and he's making everything, he spoke this. And the earth was void and was nothing. It was nothing. He raised everything up. He lifted the mountains up. When a volcano goes off, what happens? Does it start off as a volcano? No, it starts swelling and growing and finally, eventually, boom, it pops like a pimple. Okay. You guys kind of follow what I'm saying? Okay. So when you think about Rosh, think about the beginning. Think about the head, the top of what Yah has done. Okay. It's the summit. That's why it's right here at the top. Okay. That's what the Rosh is. One of the first words that you have, one of the things at the summit of everything is the top. Okay. So that word Rosh right here, this word Rosh right here is going to be one of the first words that you're supposed to learn about. And how can I prove it? I told you systematic, right? Well, the book that teaches us this is called Be Re. Excuse me, I don't know if I'm spelling it correctly. Hopefully I am.
Bereshit.
Okay. And in that word in the Hebrew, it's a bet that means in, and re shith. Okay. And here's your word Rosh right here. I'm supposed to put an aleph right there. Forgive me. So here it is. Rosh right here. So you'll be having a whole bunch of Hebrew words and they'll have a root in it. So this is not a parent root. This is a child root because it's 3 letters. Okay. So that is how you say Rosh, and it's spelled in English R-O-S-H. The R is that letter right there. This little dot right here and this aleph right here represents the vowel. That's what that represents. And then the SH is this shin right here. Now you say, well, where's all the vowel points? They're only giving you one right here. Okay. So ro. Okay. I don't have to have a dot right here. And I don't have to have the dot over here because I know the word now. It's called Rosh. Rosh is head. Resh is the name of this letter. So we got a name of a letter and you got and what it means. Okay, this is what it means. And this is what the name of the letter is. So Rosh, Resh. So anytime you see a Resh and you see an Aleph and a Shin, you say, oh, that has to do with the head of something. That has to do with the beginning of something. And you can make an association because you're going to think about you. Matter of fact, this is you right here. See that little person? You see that little black person up there? That's you. You've been climbing up. Like who did that? Who climbed up a mountain? Who climbed up the mountain? Oh, that's right.
Moshe.
Moshe did, but guess who else climbed up a mountain? Abraham, Moshe. You understand? Okay. Elijah, Eliyahu. Okay. You see? So this is what it's going to be for us. And this is what you call to ascend. Okay. So in order for you and I to ever come to any, like being the head of anything, okay?
Yeah, listen.
You got to climb and you have to ascend. So you have to ascend up to Yahweh. And they call that, I think, Allah, which is the offering called an Olah. You know, Aleph, a Lamed, and a Hey. Aliyah, Olah, an offering to ascend, something to something to go up. Okay. So there's a lot of associations with these words. But that's who you are. You're a person that's ascending. And so what you did today by coming to the class, and I encourage you to continue to come to the class, that's your first step. You're taking the first step. You're down here at the bottom and you're going to climb up so you can get to the top. Okay. So what Yah has done with Israel, he said, I'm going to make you the tail of the nations. No, I'm going to make you the head of the nations. I'm going to put you on the top of everybody. So if we want to be on the top, you got to climb. You got to ascend. That's what you're doing. You're ascending in your learning. And guess what? Climbing this mountain is not easy. And it takes time. And it poses some difficulties for us. Okay. Here is the agricultural aspect of this word. Okay. The action of it, listen to this. This is deep. The action of this word is to inherit. And it has to do the cultural. Okay. and it has to do with the head, right? Because that's the concrete meaning. That's what CO means in concrete. The picture graph is a picture of a head. That's what the picture graph looks like. And you have the ancient picture graph that I sent to you. And it's a head of a man. Okay. It means the head of a tribe, or the head of a tribe is a chief. So, they'll use this word, Roach, inside of a chief, or family. He's the head of the father. He's the head of everything. And so, and it's passed from generation to generation. So you'll pass it like Aharon passed the leadership and being the chief to his son Eleazar, because Nadav and Avihu got killed. So it got passed to him. When I read in our Torah portion this week that these are the heads and the chiefs of the families of Reuven and Shimon and Levi. And so it tells you who the chiefs are. And it's passed on from generation to generation. And they inherit this. That's what the action is to pass something on. So the head grants permission for betrothal of his daughters and determines the inheritor of the tribe or the family. So when Abraham asked Yah, can Yishmael be the inheritor? Yah said no. He said Yitzchak is going to inherit this blessing. Let him rule. He said, y'all let him be good. He'll be chief, but he ain't going to be over this family. When Yaakov got his blessing, he took the right to be the chief and the leader over the family, over the blessing. So he's the inheritor. And Esau gave up his right because that person is supposed to rule the family. Just like Eleazar did when Aharon died and he was gathered to his people. He took off the priestly garments and they put it on Eleazar. Okay. But it also could mean the head of a person, a place, a thing, or a time. So you'll see these associations. Okay. That's why. Okay. One interesting thing here is, and my kids have a hard time with this. I told them that I'm the head that grants permission. The moment that you don't ask for my permission is the moment that you have decided to go against what I said. Therefore, because you've done such a thing, I will then find out who is going to be the inheritor of my family. That's why I'm hard on my son. That's why he has to follow the Torah. He knows it because he's the inheritor. I pass it on. So I hope you guys were able to get some type of understanding from that word. Did you get anything? Did you get anything beautiful out of that? Did you see it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot different than what they told us. Okay. You might ask, well, where are you getting these words from? I'm getting these words from Genesis. The book of the scroll of Genesis is where everything was said. It's called Bereshith because it's in the beginning. It's the top of things. It's the head of things. So every word that you and I need to learn about, and scholars know this, they know that primarily about 75% of all the words in the whole entire Tanakh and in Torah is going to be found in the book of Genesis, which is Bereshith. So if you learn the words of Genesis, then they'll be so familiar to you when you get to the book of Deuteronomy, you already know what those words are. So you have to learn Bereshith. You have to learn at the beginning. You have to go to the thing that's first in order to understand how was it used and in what context. When's the first time that this word was used? And it will tell you exactly when you look at other words or words that are similar to it or words that have the same root, you'll be like, oh, bara means, to feel, right? But I'm going to use it here. So what do you see in this picture? I want you to focus on the picture. What do you see?
What is that?
Are you guys familiar with this picture? Who's familiar with this picture? Who knows where this picture came from? I'll tell you. It was taken by what they call the Hubble telescope. This is a real photo. It's a real photo of the galaxy. It's real. They have these super telescopes, and you can look it up, Hubble telescope, and they have images all over the place of these stars and these galaxies and these planets and all kind of stuff. This is an image, a real image. Okay. So I put this picture here because I want you to understand what this word means. I want you to associate it with something. This is all in the galaxies, you know, it's beautiful. Okay. They got all kind of photos, so you can look it up. But when we read it, it says Yahweh created. Okay. This is not the text, but I wrote it here. Yahweh created the entire universe, including humankind, made in his image. Okay. We automatically associate this word bara with created. This right here, I put this here on purpose to let you know that this is wrong, because it says in the beginning, Elohim created. So Beroshith Badra Elohim, meaning Yahweh created. They said created, but that word doesn't mean create. That's an English word. Okay, so let's see what it really means. This right here is, what letter is this first letter right here?
Mate.
It's a bet.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's why it looks like. What's this next letter?
R, Resh.
Rish.
What's the next letter?
Aleph.
Aleph.
Okay, perfect. So we got 3 letters, so we know that this is a what kind of root? Parent or child?
Child.
Child. Thank you. Okay, boom, done. Everybody's getting it now, right? Somebody who knows my Hebrew grammar class, what does this some symbol right here mean? This little ah right. Oh, I just said it. What does that mean? How do you make that sound?
Come on.
Sound.
Ah. And ah is just ah. Open your mouth. Ah.
Ah.
You understand? So I go, this is a B, this is a R. So I go ba ra. Period.
Yeah.
That's it. Easy. So what you got to do in your mind is say, I'm no longer looking at English letters. I know this is a B sound. I know this is an R sound. I go ba ra. Period. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. So you don't have to say anything. Okay.
Mm.
So it's ba ra. Okay. Good. Let's continue. I'm going to tell you agriculturally what this means, because we deal with our senses, our 5 senses, dealing with our nose, our ears, our eyes, our mouth, our touch. Okay. So the first letter, bet and resh. Okay. Bet and a resh. The action of this means to feed. You're going to feed someone and feed something. Okay. So you need a mouth. Okay. And a mouth is found in somebody's head. And where are you going to feed them? I'm going to feed them grain. Okay. So grain. Well, I thought you said that this word meant create. The English people told you it's create. I'm going to show you what it really means. The picture of this is a picture of a tent. That's what the bet represents. It's a tent. Okay. And somebody dwells in a tent, and a tent represents the family, which resides inside the tent. That's why you got that little bet and they put a dot in it. See, they're using symbols to let you to talk to us. Okay. You got to know what they mean. Okay. And that's the seed. And the seed is the family. Okay. Okay. That abides in us. The tent, and there's also the picture of the head, which represents the letter what? What is the head?
Rish.
Resh. Which that's the letter, but the name of it is called a Roach for the head. Okay. So if you notice, they'll go back and tell you they associate the name of the letter to what the letter really is. It's a Roach. It's a head. So you got to start thinking with your head and start looking at things from an agricultural perspective, not abstract. Create means anything. Well, what does it mean? How was it done? What are you talking about? So when you combine these 2 ideas of a head and a house, Then you got a family of heads. So the plant families of grains have such as wheat and barley, have a cluster of seeds, just like a man and a woman at the top of the stalk of the called heads. We talked about a stalk today. A stalk is very firm, but before you cut the stalk, it has heads of grain at the top. These grains are used for food because that's what you feed people, for both man and livestock. In English, they got the word barley. So here's the bet. Here's the resh. That's where they come with the word barley. Here's the G and here's the R, which is grain. But here they substitute this grain, which is really beer, which you got the bet and you got the resh again. So they're adopting words from our words called bara to create barley, to create beer, because that's what beer is made from, grain. And they know this. So often when you're reading English, you think, oh, they just came up with that word. They came up with it because they took it from the Hebrew language. They took it from its original what? Its original roots. It's shoresh. Say it again. Shoresh. Shoresh. So is this a parent or a child? It's a parent because it has two letters. The first letter of this family is the resh. The second one is the bet. Okay. Excuse me. Reverse. Bet resh. Okay. In English, you see how my mind, you guys, you didn't catch my mind, did you? My mind said the first letter right here because I'm already trained to go from right to left. That's how tough I'm in. That's how much of a disciple I am. That everything I'll be looking from this direction. I'll be tripping. I was like, the first is resh and bet. No, it's the bet and then the resh. That's how it really should have been. The bet first, then the resh.
Okay, I have two questions I want to ask you.
Yes.
So you're saying the word bara, I know it's a singular. Bara means to create in the singular terms. So that's why we know the creator was by himself when he created everything.
Yes.
So you're saying the word bara is not create?
No, it's not. And I'm about to explain it to you. According to what...
Okay, the next question I want to address is the word better sheet, right?
Uh-huh.
I know after you have the hekari, you have a yod in between the shin and the tav. So I know that when you have that yod there without nothing under it, it's supposed to stretch the better sheet to better sheet. Am I wrong or am I right? That's what I ask.
Well, there's a couple of things you have to look at. Okay. So the first part is that's a compound word, right? So the shith, and if you look in the Hebrew for the word shith, or what they call it sheth or sheth, it means to set. Okay. So that's in that word. Roach is in that word, right? The bet is in that word, right? So they have a in head set, in the head set. Okay. That's what shith means. Okay.
Okay.
So in the head, so ba is in Rosh. I gotta go. See, I'm going back and forth. Uresh or Rosh. That's head or top. And then the ith on the back here, because it's associated with this shith, it means to set in place. In the head is set, the beginning. I'm setting it up. That's what in the beginning means. I'm about to set everything from this point on. I'm showing you what I'm doing. Okay. When he said the word bara, and this is good stuff, and I thank you for your question, bara. Okay. You said it means he. They put it, they translate it as he created, because it's in its perfect form. Anytime a verb or a noun, because this is used as a verb, okay, but you see that this in particular word can be a verb or a noun. Here is talking about an action, but it also describes the noun. The noun here is grain. The action of it is to feed, okay? And the abstract of it is to do something that I'm about to show you, okay? So there's several ways when you read a passage. I don't just look at the grammar. I look at what is it agriculturally to us and what does it mean from an agricultural standpoint, because that's where the significance is. So let's take this idea of not create, but what it says about feeding and grain. So let me erase all this stuff so you can see what I'm saying. Eraser. Here you go. That's faster. Praise the Holy One of Israel. Starting to use my tools right, the proper way. There you go. Not a long time. Okay. All right. So let me show you now why the Creator has said what he has said, so it can make sense for us. When Yah says that he created bara, right? One of the words of bara, and I'm going to pause right here. And I'm going to go over here right quick, take a pit stop. You can't be afraid to go on, especially when you know you got to answer a question. You don't never want the question not to go unanswered, because everyone needs to get understanding. Stop the share. Let me see here. Genesis chapter number 1. Oh no, better yet. Here you go. That was 100,080. Okay. All right, here, I'm gonna show it to you. Let me show it to you so we can all see, and it won't be open to conjecture. Okay. I'm going to show you exactly why Yah has used this word bara. Okay. So I'm in an ancient Hebrew lexicon. Okay. Can you see it?
Okay, we could see it.
Okay. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a bet and a resh. Okay. And I'm going to find that right quick. They got all the different words, a bet and a noon, to build. Okay. And let me see here. It here, Bet and Resh, Samak. Okay, here we go. All right, perfect. So again, bar is to feed. Action is to feed, right? So it's a Bet and a Resh. This is our root word for bara. I'll show you the beauty of the language. So bara, okay, which is the Bet, the Resh, curve that, and then the aleph. The bet, it already told us what it means, okay? But let's go and extend it. Let's extend it so we can find out, because that's just giving us the parent root. Let's look at the child root. Here you go. So what page am I on?
I'm just done.
Okay. Let me get. Did I lose it? No. Bet and Rush. Okay, 72. Page 73. Now 74. Where's 73? $72. Oh, here it is. All right, here you go. All right, so we know that it means the grain, right? And talks about how same root right here. You guys see it? Yeah, bara right here. Okay. When you look at that, it's telling you that it has to do with grain. It says grains are grown in the fields. We know that, and they're made for meal, to make flour as well as to feed livestock. The stalks of the grains were burned to make potash, to make soap. Okay, to making soap. What is clean with soap becomes white or bright. So this definition here in terms of grain can also be used for that. But you say, well, what does it have to do with create, right? And I'm about to show it to you. So here's the different meanings. Grain, soap, and to make clean. It all is associated with each other, okay? It has to do with purity. It has something to do with the fattening up a bird. Why? Because that's what happens when you feed birds. They get fattened when they eat the grains. So it still has to do with grain. It has to do with the stalks of the grains that were used to burn to make what? For soap. So that's where you get the idea of being clean from a verb perspective, being made clean through what? A barar. So when you see a resh, a bet, and a resh, you know what it is. Then you have the thing with the bird for avar. They just put another letter in front of it to make it a wing. Avar, okay, meaning a wing to fly. And why? Because the birds fed on grain and it becomes strong for the flight. Okay. So look at all these associations. You got to dig. You can't just accept one word. You got to keep going. Okay. And then of course, I'm going to speed up a little bit. What happens when a bird is avir? A bird is avir and it becomes strong, the mighty power of a bird in flight. Why? Because they become strong and from the things that they eat. So this is the reason why they're using this word, because it's associated with the bet and the resh. They just put these different letters on the front of it. Here's the bet and here's the resh. Here again, a bet and a resh again. They put the aleph on the end. So there's our word. There's our word. Bara. I just told you I told you bar. I told you the bet and the resh, but I didn't put the aleph on it. Now we're going to put the aleph on it. Okay. Bara. Bara here, the action is to feel. Now we're going to go somewhere now. This word right here is a bet, a resh, and an aleph. Remember it for a bra, okay? It means feel. What do you mean to feel? To make fat. How do you make something fat? Grain is fed to livestock, making them fat and full. Okay? So when Yah talks about feeling something, when he talked about bara, he wasn't talking about creating. What Yahweh was doing was filling the earth. In the beginning, because the earth had already existed. It was just covered in water. It was covered in the deep. And what Yahweh did is he filled the earth with things. Okay. He filled the sky with the sun and the moon and the stars. He filled the sky with the clouds, the rakia. He put a metal, rakia, which is a dome. Okay. He put clouds in there, which is called the shamayim, the waters from the waters. He separated the waters from the waters. So the action of bara the action of it is to feel. The verb of it is to feel. It's the fattening or the filling up of something. So in the filling of Genesis in the earth, in Genesis 1, you see he filled it with the sun, he filled it with the moon, the plants, the animals, etc. In the filling of man with life and the image of Elohim. So what the King James Version did is they put these words here. So they're using a lot of different words. They use create, they're using creator, they're using choose, they're using make, they're using cut down, dispatch, done, and fact. But they're not telling you that it all has to do with grain.
Okay. Quick question, Malik, with pardon me, slack here.
No worry.
Okay, the word fill, I could go with that, but there was nothing for him to fill it with unless he created what he fill it with. So you see, all those two words could come back together. I'm just asking. It's for clarity purpose. If there was nothing there and the earth was empty, and he started to fill it with stuff that was not there, then he had to create the stuff that he fill it with. Wouldn't you say? It's a question.
Yeah. So for example, exactly. So what it is. So the idea of what we're trying to do is not say that we want to move away from abstract terms. That's the whole goal of the Hebrew language. You're correct in what you're saying, but if they were to attach create, you and I would never know what create means if we didn't understand culturally what it meant. So in order for us to understand what a word really means, it has to have cultural significance where you and I can touch it, smell it, taste it, and feel it and experience it. The Holy One of Israel is not interested in us knowing things without knowing its purpose and why it's here and how did it happen. So what he's done is he's associated the language with that which he's created. So for us to understand what create means, right, from an abstract term, he says, I don't want you to be abstract. I don't want you to, because it can mean anything. It can be magic. So if you continue to read, guess what's connected with this word? So soap is connected with it, clean is connected with it, feeling is connected with this word, to divide is connected with it, but there's something even stronger that would make more sense to us. And that is this. Barith has to do with meat. It has to do with meat. See? So here's the word with the bet and the resh again. But here's the ith on it. Barith. And it has to do with meat. Why? Because the choicest meats are those from the fattened or fatted livestock because of the food that they ate. The only way you can fatten something up and make it a real tasty, choicest meat is you got to fill it with the best of the grain. And so what Yah has done is said berith has to do with meat. But guess what he says here too? Here's berith. Okay, what is berith? Berith is a covenant. So Yahweh's covenant doesn't have to do with just an abstract term. Yahweh's covenant has to do with sacrifice. And it has to do with the choice in the most fatted animals, which was cut into two pieces, right? And the parties of the covenant passed through the pieces like it did with what? Like they did in Jeremiah 18, like they did with Abraham did in Genesis chapter number 15. Yah told him to go get these animals, the fatted animals, and cut them in half so he could go through the pieces. That's where you get your word covenant from. So when Yah made a covenant with Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov in the land, what he was telling them was this: I'm going to give you what? What am I going to give you? Everything that we read so far, what am I giving you? Don't be afraid. What is Yah saying when I'm going to give you the berith? I'm going to give you that which is fattened. And how is that fattened? I'm going to give you the grain to fatten the animals so they can be the choice of the animals. I'm going to give you the grain out of the land. I'm going to give you the grain that's going to keep you clean. I'm going to give you the grain that's going to make you fat and give you life. I'm going to give you the grain. So if you think to create is just create, it's not. It's more than create. It has to do with a covenant. It has to do with agreement, but it's all contingent upon that which is grain. Yah promised a land to our ancestors, to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, and he promised descendants. The only way that the descendants can continue is that they have food. As Jared has said, he said, it's food, the harvest. If you don't have harvest, you're done. That's where that word Aviv comes from, because it's the beginning of the year. So Yah says, I've given you the early rains and I give you the latter rains. The early rains we thought was in spring. No, they're not. Those are the late rains. The early rains are here in the fall season. And then I'm going to go through the cycle, and then I'm going to have enough moisture in the land. And then by the time we get through the cold, because the cold is taking out the water out of the ground with its cold air, and it's still kind of freezing everything up. But then I'm going to bring some new rains to you. And then you're going to have the Aviv. So there's more to just saying abstract terms. That's what I'm trying to let you know. In this language, it has to do with that which is physical. Physical things that you can see, you can taste, you can touch, you can smell, and you can use. Our people didn't have dish soap. They didn't have laundry soap. Okay? They had to make their soap from the grain. That's how they made themselves clean. You see? So there's all different types of things. They were a very effective way of living, and that's the way that they did it. Let me put this right here. So when you look at Genesis 1:1, right? And it has this thing and it says better sheep. Can you see it? You see it?
Not yet. It's still saying you're sharing your screen.
Okay, let me close this out. Close that screen, and I'm gonna go right here and just show it to you right quick. So when it says, and if you notice, the first two words that we covered was the first two words in the Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. It says Bereshith bara. Right there, bara. Bara. Right here. Bet and a resh and an aleph. Oh, if I want to look at it, bet, a resh, and an aleph. And then I got a shith here. I can compound these words. There's a lot going on here. You got to know. You see? So Yahweh's intention is to feel. Okay? So it is true. He, who? Elohim. Singular. He is here, third person masculine singular. He filled the earth. That's what he did. He not only created it, he filled it. He created the Hashamayim. He filled the heavens and the earth. That's the first statement that he says. So if you look at it from an agricultural standpoint, then you would not be believing that the heavens is a distinguishable place. You would know that the heavens, the Hashamayim, is what? Mayim right here is water. The two waters. The shin right here is what? Two teeth. The Mayim is what? The waters. The two waters. So it's letting you know Yahweh field. You can say create if you want, but he's trying to give us more agricultural perspective to understanding what he's talking about. We can't fully understand what Yah's talking about if we don't understand it from a cultural standpoint. And that's where the Ashkenazis and the Sephardims and the rest of these people have failed, because they never talk about this. They make it into religion because they don't have a culture. They don't want to talk about the culture. They don't. They're interested in NBA. They're interested in the media. They're interested in television. They're interested in those things. They're not interested in the Shamayim and interested in the heavens and the earth. They're not interested in that, because everything that's associated with the heavens and the earth has to do with what? Has to do with food. What comes out the Shamayim? What do we need for food out of the Shamayim? Somebody tell me.
Water.
Thank you. Rain, which is associated with Torah. And we get the dew from the heavens, right? What else do we need out of the Shamayim?
Blessings of the Most High.
Yes, we need the sun. The biggest light out in the sky during the day is to bring life to that which is on the ground. What's his purpose about the earth? What did he fill it with? He filled it with humans and animals and plants. Woo, the earth was here. You understand? Yah made it. He created it. Yes, he did. It was void and it was covered in water, have been destroyed. So now he's going through the process again of saying, hey, listen, this planet that I created was urban here, is covered in water. There's no light on it or nothing. There's nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to renovate it. I'm going to move waters. And then after I move the waters, there it is. There's the dry ground. Oh, then I'm going to call it out. I'm going to call out from the dry ground. And that which is in the ground is going to come out. Oh, what else? I'm going to take the man out of the ground. Oh, what else? I'm going to put the tree. The trees are going to come out of the ground. I'm going to speak it and it's going to come out. So everything that Yah has done has been according to his word. You understand? By him speaking it. So this first statement right here is something that Yahweh told Moshe, write these words and say, Bereshit bara Elohim the hashamayim and the way at the haaretz. I'm giving, and then I'm going to tell you everything that I've done day by day. I'm going to give you an account day by day to let you know what it is.
Okay. We know that in the English it says in the beginning, but we know in Hebrew there's no definite article like ze. So in the Hebrew thought, we know this. We don't know if this is the first or the third or the 15th or the 50th or the 1000 beginning.
Yes.
Because I didn't let us know that. So that's why I agree with you in what you're saying for real, because we don't know what beginning this was.
No,
what era, what time, because that belongs to the Most High. But this is not the first beginning. We don't know if it's the second or the third. But
no, we don't know. You're absolutely right, Aki. We don't know. So what he's saying is, I'm letting you know how I filled it. I'm letting you know how I brought everything into being.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is why it comes to our next word. Okay. Which is called Elohim, because that's the next word is Bereshit bara et Elohim. Ha Elohim. I have these pictures here, right? You say, well, where do you get these pictures? What do they represent? What do you guys see? Because this is about what you see. What do you see?
The ocean.
Yes.
The heavens, the earth, and fire.
Fire. Okay. So the Holy One in this word Elohim, okay, which is the power of all powers. Elohim, Yahweh is the Elohim of all forces of nature. He's over the fire. He's over the water. He's over the land. He's over the sky. He's over everything. Okay. So there is no other power outside of Elohim that exists outside of Yahweh. There is everything that exists in any power that is power doesn't operate as a power outside of the creator. The creator is the power of all powers. So we would think, well, this fire right here is something that he made, and that it has its own power. And then once it's lit. No, Yahweh is the power behind the power. The sun does not hold its own power. Yah is the one who gives the sun its power. It doesn't operate individually outside of Yahweh. There's nothing outside of Yahweh that can actually operate in this earth without Yahweh giving it power and giving it life. You understand? The life that's in the water is the power that Yah has given to it. He could take the life out of the water at any given time. He could speak anything into existence or out of existence. So anything that exists is because Yahweh gave it power to exist. The sun doesn't give its own light. Yah tells it to give light. And we know this because he could turn and tell the sun right now, don't shine. It don't shine. Has he done that before? Yes, he does. He did it in Mitzrayim. He did it when Israel was fighting. He could turn the sun, hey, go back. Go back a couple of dials back. Don't shine for 3 days. Where's the sun? Where did the sun go for 3 days? He could tell the ocean, don't go past this part of the seashore. And then he could say, hey, blow up and cover everything. You understand? So the power that's behind everything is Yahweh. This is why you and I need to know who he is. The storms don't have their own power. The moon, that's not her light. It's like the Yah told her to go, I want you to give a certain amount of light at a certain time. Everything does what he says. And where's this word come from? It comes from the word all. Okay, all. And the all has to do with the yoke. That's the yoke. That's the action of it. I'm gonna yoke you up. Okay, and it comes from the ox. Ox. That's why the first letter is an aleph, because it has to do with an ox. And what does an ox do? It represents strength. Okay, so this picture is a picture of an ox head. That's what the first picture is. You look at the little thing I gave you, it's an ox head. The next one is a lamed, the shepherd's staff, okay, which represents authority of the shepherd, okay? So when you combine those two, you put them together, it means strong authority, okay? And can be anyone or anything of strong authority. That's why he calls us gods, and I think is Psalms 82. He said, didn't I call you not Elohim? El, okay? El, Elohim. Someone with a strong authority, okay? And can be anyone or anything of strong authority. The yoke is understood as the staff on the shoulders. And here's the scripture that you have that you can go look at, Isaiah 9:4. In order to harness the power for pulling loads as wagons in a plow. That's why they put a yoke on an ox in order to him to drag the actual load behind him. Hence, the two picture graphs represents the ox and the yoke. Often, two oxen were yoked together. An older ox, a more experienced ox, would be teamed up with a younger and less experienced ox. The older ox in the yoke is the strong authority who, through his own power, okay, listen to me carefully, through the yoke and its own power teaches the younger ox. So the yoke that's on the shoulder of the one who's stronger, the stronger authority, is the one who's leading. They're leading and teaching the younger ox which way to go. So what the idea here is that the Holy One of Israel is saying to you and I, when I become your power, I'm your strong authority. I'm your leader. I'm the one who's going to teach you. If you notice in the Hebrew scriptures, you will find this word Elohim or Eloha or Elohe or El is attached, or Aleph. This is the same word for our word that we have right here, aleph. The aleph bet, same word. Same first letters. Lef. Elephim. Elephim. And aleph means 1,000. Okay. Elephim has to do with governors and chiefs. You see? So it always has to do with something culturally. So when you look at these letters, the aleph and the lamed, then you would know, oh, that has to do with the strong authority. Oh, when you see this, you'd be like, oh, and Yahweh said too, he would say, Wayomer Yahweh El Moshe. So what did he do to Moshe? I'm letting Moshe know I'm the strong authority. I'm telling you where you're going to go. I'm leading you. I'm teaching you. And I'm the one who's guiding you. But I got to put a yoke on you. I have to attach you to me. So Israel is recognized in scripture as an ox. That Yah has to yoke up so he can teach them. He said, you're like an ox that likes to tread the grain, going in circles. You've done that. Now, but I'm going to put you as the leader, and I'm going to have Judah is going to be the plow, and you guys are going to plow the ground together. You understand? And I think that's in the book of Hosea. Final word, since I mentioned it. Final word, Shamayim. Can you say it? Shamayim.
Shamayim.
Shamayim. This word here is Shamayim. Shamayim. Okay. I got this picture of the sky because that's exactly what the Shamayim is. And the scripture that goes with it, on the first day, he says, the skies are called, excuse me, not the second day. The skies are called the heavens. That's what they're called. That's what the skies are called. They're called the Shamayim. They contain water, just as the waters on the earth. So the Shamayim is the water. So when you see this blue up here, all the blue you see in the sky, that's water. You thought the water was only in the clouds. The water is here. The blue sky is water. So when Yah said, I'm going to open up the heavens and I'm going to let the water, the windows of heaven open up, I'm letting all the water that's in the sky down on the earth, and I'm going to open up all the deep on the earth to let the waters out of there. So when the people got flooded out, it wasn't like a couple of drizzles. Yah opened up. He said, I'm opening up the sky. And the water came up out of the earth like a flood. That's why it's called a flood. Because it came down and it came up. Therefore, this Sheresh is known as a dual plural. And the reason why it's dual is because of how it is voweled. Okay? And we're going to get into a little grammar later about that. A dual plural means this. Okay? Dual plural. It's not only plural, but it's a dual. So I'll give you an example. The Shamayim means, the shin right here means two. I wonder why this thing is not working. Get out of here right quick and see if I can do this. Hey, well, my pen doesn't really work sometimes. That's okay. This shin right here means two teeth in Hebrew. Okay. So it means two. Okay. And this means water. So there's two waters. But the way that I know it's two waters is not by the shin in front of it, but also the way they vowed it. A dual plural means there's two of them. There's two identical things that could be represented by one word. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. You may want to write this down. Okay. A dual plural is something that has to do with two things that has to sync and say, like, for example, when I say, tell me, what two things do you have on your body? They're identical.
Eyes, hands.
Okay, so your eyes are called the anayim. Okay, anayim. Okay, anayim. Anayim means two eyes. What other things did you have two on your body?
Ears.
Okay, and those are called ozanim. Okay, azanim. Okay, so those are two. You have two hands. You have two legs. You have 2 feet. Ragalim, okay? Yadim, okay? Anayim, Ozanim. You understand? Okay. So when Yah talks about in dual plurals, there means there's 2 of them. Okay. So when he talks about the Shamayim, there's 2 of them. There's 2. Okay. One above and one beneath. Okay. So there's 2 locations. There's 2 waters. One is located in one place and another one's located in another place. But they're exactly the same. Water. Okay. Here, let me don't get crazy. There are 2. Man, I wish this pen would write. So let me close out. Maybe if I get out and come back in, maybe my pen will work. There are 2. There are 2 arevs. Arev means there's 2 evenings. Forgive my writing. Arevs. They call Evrayim. So when I'm talking about 2 evenings, there's 2 twilights. There's one in right before the morning and the sun comes out, and there's one like we're going in right now. Well, here in California, you look outside, it's a blending and a mixing between 2 times, between light and darkness. There's 2 arevs. That's why people get confused and they don't know when the Shabbat starts, because they don't know that there's 2 arevs. So when Yah says the morning and the evening were the first day, they don't know what that means. They think there's only one evening. There's 2 of them. There's 2 arevs. There's 2 shamayims. Okay. So the idea here is that there's duals all over the place. Matter of fact, did you guys know that the word for Mitzrayim is 2? There's two Mitzrayims, 2 of them. If you look at it, if you look at that word, it's a dual plural. It's a dual. There's 2 of them. So when Yah says, I'm going to send you back to Mitzrayim in ships, a lot of people say, oh, that's the one over there. They didn't come out in ships. They walked out of Mitzrayim. Now all of a sudden you're going back in ships? No. And they took a 3-day journey out of Mitzrayim. And they walked out. You understand? To the wilderness, and then they crossed through the Red Sea. But what I'm saying to you is there's 2 of them. Okay, some people say, oh, that's the upper and the lower, because they divided Mitzrayim into 2 different places, upper Egypt and a lower Egypt. Where very well could be. But there's 2 identical places called Mitzrayim. Just a little food for thought. But my goal for you to understand is water is essential for plants and animals and humankind. We will all perish without it. All of us. So Shamayim is very important. Where does it come from? It comes from this word, this parent root called ma. That's where it comes from, ma. And ma has to do with the sea. The picture graph is a picture of water. Picture graph is like water. Okay. The sea is a Mediterranean. That's what they know it is. It's a place of the unknown. That's why they use this word ma, M-A-H. Wish this thing would work. That's why they use this word ma in Hebrew, not to represent the word or the idea of what. What is it? It's unknown. Okay. So what is unknown and what is beyond or what is below, they don't know. It is feared by the ancient Hebrews because of its size, what the sea, and the storms and its fierceness. 100 as an unknowable amount. That's what they use for ma as well. This parent root is related to and. Ma, meaning like, what is it? Okay. So this is where it comes from. That's where ma comes from the sea. Ma. And that's it for today. Next week, we're going to talk about arets. Okay? Next week, we're going to talk about arets. So I hope you got something out of your lesson today. It's a great study. We get to find out different things. We get to find out, but also too, let me show you one last part. Here it is right here. These are the words that we went over today. We went over Roach right here. We went over Badra right here. We went over Elohim right here. And we went over Shamayim. That's what we went over. And so every time we go to the words of learning, I'm bringing you to this. So, Bereshith, Badra, Elohim, et Hashamayim. Now you kind of understand. Oh, so the top and the head of things was created, meaning to fill Elohim, the Hashamayim. And he's going to fill the earth. Oh. So you know what? Praise the Holy One of Israel. Yahweh says, finish it, because you just went that verse. Last word, Aretz. Don't be mad at me. I can't just tell you that and then we don't do it. I shared it with you. Okay. So here it is. Eretz. Eretz. Three dots right here. Those three little dots right there are called Nakud. They're okay, called a segol. Okay. But I want to tell you the sound. It's Retz. Retz. Like rats. Retz. Eretz. The earth is Yahweh, and I just put things up here. You guys already know where this is. It's in Psalms 24. The earth is Yahweh's in the fullness thereof, and the earth is defined as land in the Hebrew scriptures. The earth is land. That's why I got this beautiful picture up here. So we know that all this up here belongs to him. We know that all this Mayim belongs to him, and we know that all this belongs to him. So when Yah says that he filled it, he filled this with, like I said, with birds and sky, and the sun and moon and stars and clouds. And also he filled it with water. He filled the Shamayim with water. And now he took in the earth and he said, okay, now I'm going to fill this down here. Here's the waters down here. And now we got the earth and the land. Okay. I'm going to fill this too. I'm going to let things grow on. I'm going to give you some grass and I'm going to put some sun so everything can grow on there. It's all good because that's what I'm going to feel. So I'm just giving you a taste of what everything I've done. And where's it come from? The Retz comes from this idea of crushing. This is an agricultural term. The concrete is a potsherd made out of clay, desire. That's the abstract. Broken pieces of pottery were commonly used as writing tablets. They were inexpensive and they were durable. So what they would do is they would, instead of just throwing it away, they would turn around and recycle it and use it for them to communicate on. So, and usually messengers, what's called a malach, okay, or write something on it and say, hey, I need you to take this to someone else. So they would write what they had on these tablets, on these potteries, either inscribing upon them or wetting them up and putting something on or putting their seal on it. So these potsherds were commonly used to send messages from one person to another, and usually they carried by runners. And this is where you get your English word earth from Eretz. Same thing. Terra with the reversal of the letters terrain. That's where you get it from. Okay. So it has to do with that. So you know that when Yah talks about Israel is like clay to him and I'm the potter, you know, and what I can do is I can crush you. And then after I crush you, I can mold you into what I want. And then once whatever I desire to make you into, then I'm going to write it on the tablets of your what? Of your heart. So what I got to do is, and talks about, hey, I'm going to write the Torah on your hearts and like a writing tablet. What he's saying is, because right now you guys are very stony. So I'm going to what? I'm going to soften up your hearts. And then I'm going to write what I want inside of that tablet. And then once I write it on the tablet, then it's going to be on you. Instead of me putting just all my words on the stones, I'm going to write my words on the softness of your heart. And then once it firms up, it's never going to go anywhere. So you're not going to have to worry about anybody teaching it to you anymore. Because everything that I want you to know, I'm going to write it on you. I'm going to send my message and I'm going to put my message on you. And then you're going to go for me. You're going to deliver the message that I put on your heart, and you're going to deliver from one person to another, which is you, Israel, you're going to deliver my message to the nations. You understand? Because you are like a pot to me. If you look, I think is in Jeremiah chapter number 18, if I'm not mistaken, he talked about the pottery. Go to the pottery, go down there and see what I can do. Watch that that potter and see what he does. Oh, he made something he didn't want. He just crushed it. He made it up and he took and made something else. So that's what Yah's intending to do for us. Okay. So with that being said, Badra Bereshit Badra et Elohim. You know, the Et Shamayim and the Uva Adretz. That's what he made, and that's what he created, and that's what he filled. You understand? And then during the process of learning these words, we now got some agricultural perspective. Now we know. We also found that, hey, there's a dual plural. There's two of something. So when we read, we got to know, oh, is that a dual or is that not a plural? There's plurality, but is it a dual? If there's dual, it has quite a significance. It's letting you know. And it means something, okay? So I hope you had a good lesson today. I don't send these slides out because I made them, and I'm going to probably make a book out of it, and I'm going to put out a book. And I'm looking at publishing it. So that's the only reason why I'm going to give it to you, okay? Anyone have any questions?
Very interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, it's a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, because Yahweh wants us
Mhm.
to see things through his eyes. He doesn't want us
Right.
to look at it religiously. If we look at it religiously and we look at it just from a grammatical standpoint, then yeah, grammar that's an important part of to know how it was said and the actions and how it was done. But if you don't understand the cultural significance of it, then you're kind of going to be lost. Remember, we're human.
That is true. Agricultural people.
Yeah, we're an agricultural people. So we don't want to lose that. And that's what we've lost. And because we don't make any associations with land, we don't make any association with food, we don't make any association with the sky and the Hashamayim, we don't make any associations. So therefore our senses are being dulled, and therefore because we don't know how Yah did things and why he did it and why is he telling us this? He's like,
Right.
think about it. You think there's a covenant. You think, oh, it's just a covenant. He made a contract. It's bigger than a contract. It has to do with food.
Got it with food.
Food. That's why he keeps saying,
That's
like,
why
yeah,
people them killing us with food now.
they're killing you with the food. And he says, once I bring you home, you will not suffer a reproach of the famine that you experienced while you're in the lands of your enemies. But see, our people want more than food. They want the glory. They don't want what Yah wants to give them. So the people
Right.
that Yah's called is the people to say, remember, I told your fathers, I made a promise to your fathers. And you guys need to understand the promise I made to your fathers, because when someone else comes to you and tries to tell you about another promise that I supposedly made, you would be able to call them a liar straight to their face. Now, I have one question for you. In the New Testament, and Conjure can probably testify to this, tell me one place where they told you about the land, where they focused on the land.
0.
Zero. Why is that? Why, if our promise, our fathers, is predicated upon line and descendants, then why is all of in the land and descendants are not even mentioned? Why all of a sudden now it's moved from the earth to that his job was in the fullness thereof? You think he made all of this not to be inhabited? That's why they're trying to get you off of the language. Because if you don't know the language, you won't know the culture. If you don't know the culture, then you don't know your Elohim. Our wealth and our understanding of wealth would move away from fruits and vegetables. Y'all didn't promise us anything but land and descendants. And I know it doesn't sound delightful. I know it makes us mad.
Yes, he always telling you about the land. They're gonna give you a land.
All I'm going to give you is
with,
land. That's
with
all I'm
milk
going
and
to.
honey.
That's all I'm giving you.
A land with milk and honey.
Milk and honey. You don't want that. Therefore, you don't behave accordingly. You want to be like everybody else. So if you don't understand the language and you don't understand the agricultural perspective, I'm not trying to just teach you grammar. I'm trying to teach you what this promise is about. Everything that's in the land, you guys, have to do with fruits and vegetables and trees. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's about the land.
Everything that's associated with the land.
Everything is the animals, your family, your children, your children's
Everything.
children, everything everything I told you was in about the land. If you don't get it, if you don't understand this, you're going to miss the boat. So that's why they're trying to keep
You missed the mark.
Here it is, Deuteronomy chapter number 8. Well, this is what it says. Listen to me carefully. All the mitzvot and commandments I'm giving you today are to take care and obey so that you will live, increase your numbers, and enter and take possession of the land Yahweh swore about to your ancestors. You are to remember everything in which Yahweh led you these 40 years in the desert, humbling you, testing you in order to know what's in your heart, whether you would obey the commandments or not. He humbled you, allowing you to become hungry. And then he fed you with manna, not with a man with man, which is manna, which neither you nor your ancestors have ever known, to make you understand that a person does not live on food alone, but everything that comes from out of the mouth of Yahweh. What came out of Yahweh's mouth? The Torah. What comes out of Yahweh's mouth? The command to bring water to the land. During these 40 years, your clothing that you're wearing didn't grow old. Your feet didn't swell up. Think about it. Think deeply about it. Yahweh was disciplining you as a man disciplines his child. So obey the mitzvot, the command of Yahweh, your Elohim, living as he directs and fearing him. Yahweh, your Elohim, is bringing you into a good land. Now, here it is, a land with streams, springs, water welling up from the depths and the valleys on the hillsides. It is a land of wheat and barley, grapevines, fig trees, pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land where you can eat food in abundance and lack nothing in it. A land where the stones contain iron and the hills can be mined for copper. You will eat and be satisfied, and you will bless Yahweh your Elohim for the good land he has given you. Period. Period, period, period. But look what happens. Be careful not to forget Yahweh, your Elohim, by not obeying his mitzvot, his rulings, and his regulations I'm giving you today. Otherwise, after you have eaten and you are satisfied and built fine houses and lived in them and increased your herds, your flocks, your silver and gold, and everything else you own, you will become proud-hearted, forgetting Yahweh, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, where you lived as slaves. Period. The land, the wealth of the land is what Yahweh is giving to us. Listen, I'm going to skip down right here. 17, you think to yourself, my own power and strength of my own hand have given me this wealth. No, you are to remember Yahweh, your Elohim. Because it is he who is giving to you the power to get wealth, not dollars, power to get wealth that's in the land in order to confirm his covenant. The Barithi, which he swore to your ancestors, as it's even happening today. If you forget Yahweh, your Elohim, and follow other gods and serve and worship them, I'm warning you in advance today that you will certainly perish, period. You will perish just like the nations Yahweh is causing to perish ahead of you, because you have not heeded the voice, which is the Torah of Yahweh, your Elohim, period. That's what he's saying to us. It's about the land. Yahweh is coming back to take us back to the land. And everybody that's not prepared for that, you guys, just think about it. Before Moshe brought the children of Israel into the land, they were out in the wilderness for 40 years. They were in the wilderness for 40 years because of what their ancestors did to Yah. He said, I'm not going to kill the kids because they don't know any difference. Anybody under 20 years old got to live. Anybody older than that died. Period. So he's saying, before we go into this land, I need to tell you what the rules are of following the Torah. And that's exactly what he's saying to us today. I have to prepare you before you go to the land. So instead of you being in a desert like you were before, you are literally scattered all over the world. And when you're there, you need to learn about what I'm saying. Moshe is going to tell you what I'm telling him so he can prepare your hearts so you can find out whether or not you want to go to the land. I did a teaching today that told you, you can find it on YouTube. If you don't do what I'm telling you and you're rebelling against me and you're still revolting against me, you're not going into the land just like your ancestors. I'm going to kill you. I'm killing you. This is our time to figure out if you and I want to go back into the land. No one who does not follow the Torah is not going to the land. That's the end of the story. I don't care how you shake it up. That's what it is. So everything is about the land, and it's about the promise that he made to our fathers. And we should never forget that. And that's what the New Testament is trying to get you to forget. Is taking your attention off of the covenant that was made with Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. And Yah says, I will remember the land, and I will remember the covenant I made with your fathers that I brought out of the land of Mizraim. Otherwise, I would, if I was to forget it, and I will loathe you and hate you and reject you, I would completely, utterly destroy you, thus breaking my covenant with you. But I'm not going to do that because I'm Yahweh, your Elohim. I made myself known to you. And that's the reason why I revealed my name to you, why you're scattered among the nations. So I can prepare you mentally before you go back to the land, because I'm coming. So you got to get ready. If you're not ready, it's on you. You've been warned and you've been told. That's what he's saying to us. Any other questions? I got passion, but it's not for no reason. It's because I know what's coming. I'm telling you, I've been studying this. I know this. I'm seeing exactly the way it's laying out. All you have to do is compare what the children of Israel went through before and look at what's going on right now. Yah sent Moshe to introduce himself to them by his name. Well, if they ask me who sent me, you should tell them. Tell them, Eye Asher Eye. Well, that's not his name. That's the action of his name. Those are verbs. Then he says, well, make sure they know my name. My name is Yohewah. I did not appear to them, to their fathers as Yohewah. They only knew me as El Shaddai. So what is he saying? Why is El Shaddai versus Yahweh? Because I didn't have to deliver Abraham out of slavery. I didn't have to Hotzithika him. I didn't have to Nasal him. I didn't have to deliver and rescue. I didn't have to break anybody's arm. I didn't have to destroy the whole entire nation. I didn't have to make my name known to anybody. That's why.
Absolutely correct. Because that's to cement that even when a Malachim comes, he never give his name, because his name they pick what he comes to do, and it's not for you to know all the time what he comes to do. But that's why, the Most High, they didn't know him as Yahweh as ever, because they didn't need that. They had what they needed. They had El Shaddai. They
needed El Shaddai, the broadly one, the one who they can suck from and get the nourishment. That's what they got. See, so what he's telling you and I'm revealing myself to you as Yohewah, because I'm about to deliver you. I'm going to Hotzitika. I'm going to rescue you. I'm going to bring you back. I'm going to purify you. I'm going to put you back in the land that I swore to your ancestors. My name is attached to that land. So if you're going back to that land, you're going to have to follow what I say. Because if you look in Leviticus chapter number 25, he says, it's my land. That's my land. That's not your land. That's my land forever. So get rid of it. Get with it and understand it. In our study and our habits and everything that we're doing, you guys, just remember what he's saying to us. I'm about to come and get you. That's the only reason why I made my name known to you. And I don't know how he's going to come and get us, but I tell you one thing. There's no other reason for him to let us know about his name. None. Unless he's going to do something. And you can only know that name if you go to the Torah. Do you guys get it? That's the reason why. How many times is his name mentioned in the New Testament? How many times is Yohewah mentioned?
None.
Yes, none. How many times did Yeshua, the so-called Savior, how many times did he reveal the name?
None.
0.
The disciples?
None.
Apostles?
None.
Church fathers?
None.
Teachers, professors, doctors, lawyers, judges. Who has revealed this name to us? Yahweh. Through Moshe. Don't take credit away from Moshe. Moshe is one of the greatest men that has ever walked the face of this earth because Yahweh used him in order to talk to us like he's using his words right now to talk to us.
Moshe ben Hamram, blessed be his memory. That's what I
Yes,
always say.
blessed be their memory. Both of them. Even though he said you rebelled against him, Moshe said, Yah was mad at me on your account because you guys made me so mad. I messed up and forgot what he said.
Yeah, I'm sorry for Moshe. I feel it for Moshe because he was that close and because of one thing.
One thing.
Now, one thing. That's to show you, and that's to show you, Aki David. Some of us want to get close to the Most High, but we gotta understand this. The closer you get to the Most High, the less mistake you're allowed to make, and the quicker you will die. The quicker you will die. So we have to be careful what we wish for. If you're getting close to the Most High, we know Moshe was at the top of the mountain, then Yahushua, then the elders. Where do we want to be in that mountain? But the higher we go, the more responsibility we have to stay.
Yes.
Before Yahweh's ever out.
Hallelujah. Why? And you know that when those elders were up there, he didn't touch them. Yahweh didn't put his hand on them. He didn't touch them. He didn't put no blessing on them because he knows exactly what they were going to do. Listen, folks, just like what Adonai just said here, okay? We need to understand that the closer we get to him, the more dangerous it gets, okay? If you and I was to turn away from Yahweh in any kind of form or fashion, he says, any of your righteousness you've done will not be remembered. So he wants us to be sure. That's the call. I want to make sure that you're sure. You just can't tell me anything. Israel can't just say, we'll do everything you say anymore. And he buy that. He knew they were lying to him. He said, they lied to me straight to my face. Go read Psalms. He said, they lied to me. Chapter number 28. They lied to me. They were deceitful. They're lying children. They say one thing and they do something completely different. So he knows our hearts. He says, but Caleb, he was wholehearted. He walked fully after me. So we have to have that kind of heart. We have to be following behind Yahweh like a dog. What do you, wagging our tail. He show up, he open the door, boom. My dog goes crazy when he sees me because he knows I'm the master. He loves me, he follows me wherever I go. He doesn't question me, he does what I say.
I love that analogy, that Malik Dawid, because you know what? We tend to think that the Most High God is our friend and our buddy. And no, he is not your friend. He is not your buddy. He is your creator. He is your maker. Show respect, show loyalty, and come before him with reverence. He's not your friend. This is not your friend you call on the phone and this is the Most High God. He's
the Most High. And he will never, he says, when he was talking to Pharaoh, he said, I want you to know, I could have killed you and your whole entire nation. He said, but I've only done this so you can get my name glory. I could have wiped you out a long time ago. Me and you are not friends. Okay. I want you to understand that there is no one who could be compared to me. That's why I'm dealing with you. You see? So, a lot of people don't like my teachings because the bottom line is I'm putting everybody, including myself, in check.
Yes, sir. We need separation between we and the Most
No,
High.
we're gonna make sure that his name will be glorified.
Absolutely.
Yes, by all of us, all the time.
And we're supposed to be so grateful that even put his name in our mouth. Like
that's what I'm saying.
He put his name in our mouth that we could come before him and call upon his name. Like his name. We ain't calling on no other name. So we have to be even that alone.
Yes.
If I say Shalomo, you're not gonna look. But if I say Malik Dawid, you're gonna look. So when we say Yahweh, he's listening. We got his attention. So we got to start respecting that. That's a blessing in itself.
Yes, to be able to call upon that name. And he revealed that name to us. And he said, this is going to be my name from generation to generation. I'm going to be known. And the reason why that name is known is because the power that's in that name, there's deliverance and mercy and compassion. If we didn't have that name, we would not be able to go home, folks. That's what he's telling us.
Hallelujah. That's facts right there.
That's facts. And if we want to go home, right, we better understand that that's what's in that name. He said, remember, it's not for any good that you've done. What you're doing is your duty and responsibility. It's not you don't get any credit. There's no credit here. This is all mercy. I should have killed all of you a long time ago. Okay. But I'm not. I'm not going to do it right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show mercy to you and your descendants. All because I made a promise to your father. Your father was faithful to me.
Hallelujah. Do it for my name's sake. I do
My
it for
name.
my name's sake. Hallelujah.
It's about my name. It's always going to be about my name.
It's, you know what, Kidawi, that's what we all remember. It's never about us. The Most High does not need us to be Yahweh Zevah. He don't need us to be Elohim.
He was Yahweh Zava.
We need him to be. We need him to be holy. We need him to be righteous. We need him to stay alive. He never needed us. He said, "I'm great beyond Jerusalem. I'm great beyond." He said, "I'm great amongst the nations."
Greater than anything on the face of this planet and will ever exist, and there is no one I can be compared to.
Hallelujah.
You understand?
But as we as Israel, we think we're the only people. He said, I'm great beyond Jerusalem. I'm great beyond Israel. He said, I'm great in the nation. He said, I have obligation in other places that you don't even know about.
You don't even know about. You guys are late to the game. I got people around the nations that get offerings to me that you know nothing about.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got people that call me.
All souls belongs to him.
He said, I'm a great king. Yes,
but we are just a big brother, Malik Dawi, that's supposed to be teaching the little brothers the Torah, and we fail in doing that alone.
And that's when the people are going to pay for it. He says, matter of fact, if you ever mention my name and you misrepresent me in any kind of way, even if it was a mistake, I'm going to hold you accountable. You will not go unpunished. Do you hear what he said?
Wow.
That is the third word in the covenant. If you ever misrepresent me in any kind of way, I'm not going to let you go unpunished.
That's deep. That's deep.
Even if it was an accident.
That's deep.
Because that's how great my name is.
That's very deep.
Yeah, I'll kill everybody on the face of this planet.
Very deep and very scary. We should take that what you just said right now. We should all take note of that and put it on our wall. That statement should be on everybody's wall. So when you wake up in the morning, that's the first thing you look upon. You profane my name, you will not go unpunished. That's a scary.
Yes, but it's right there in Exodus chapter number 20. It's part of the covenant. It's a covenantal word. Don't you misrepresent my name. If you going around telling people that I'm going to let the wicked go free, you're done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you telling people that I'm going to close my eyes to fornication and adultery, you're done. Yes. If you will give somebody a pass because they don't want to put a zit on, you're done.
Ooh.
You're done.
Ooh, zig.
Don't you play? Don't play with me.
Akatilavia, she makes my zig for me. I got like 200 of those.
Hey, yeah. And I told my son, he acted like he didn't want. I said, you don't have to wear them. Just you're going to be ended. That's it. Y'all's not playing with nobody. He doesn't owe us anything, guys.
But Malik David, what they don't understand is the zigzag is not, you don't have to wear it out. It said, the most I said, so you could look upon it.
So you can remember my comment.
So if you're going to work, you ain't going to put it outside. You could put on your zigzag and push it inside your garment. It's for you. Because it's for you. It's for you to see and remember my law. Because Malik David, how many times he has to say, remember. That's why I said, look at, that's why I gave us a zigzag, so you could remember my commandment.
Yes.
That's it.
And guess what? Those zitzites represent almond blossoms. So when you look at it, zitz, if you look at the Hebrew word for zip, it's an almond blossom. So when he's talking about when you look upon it, you're supposed to be blossoming in his laws. You're supposed to be fruitful. They're to remind you to be fruitful.
Facts.
You hear me? So the growth and the development of us, it's not just to look upon, it's to say, oh, I'm growing. I go through my seasons and I'm blossoming. I need to blossom in Yahweh, in his laws. So that's what it is, folks. Listen, I'm telling you with everything that I'm telling you, Yahweh has revealed his name to us because he's coming to get us. Our time of punishment is almost over. He didn't tell us exactly what time it was. Like they were on this 400 years. Great. That sounds wonderful. Every punishment that Yah has ever given Israel, 40 years in the wilderness, told Egypt, I'm going to get rid of you for 70 years. I mean, for 40 years, you can look at that in Ezekiel 28 and 29. Okay. He told Israel for 70 years, you're going into Babylon, right? He didn't give any time to the house of Israel. He gave it to Yehuda. Okay. So now we're talking about, well, how often or how much time do we all have? The only clue that we have is this: the Most High is only came to Israel and revealed his name to Israel through Moshe before he comes and gets them. That's the clue. Because if you look at it in chapter number 3, he says, well, you're sending me to them. What should I tell them? Who sent me? Tell them my name. Then he tells them in Exodus chapter number 6, tell them that Yahweh says this, give them the commandments of Yahweh. He said, I didn't introduce myself to your forefathers with this name. I did not. They don't know me by this. So the purpose of introducing that name to us is to tell us what he's going to do. Because that name means I exist. He exists. Hey, yay, meaning I will be, like I told you, the 6, 7 things he said I will do. I will bring you out. I will rescue you. I will redeem you. I will bring you to the land. I will keep the promise I made. I will cleanse you and I will give you the land. That's what we're looking for. So, you knowing his name today is honorable. And he says, be careful with my name, though. Be careful with my name. Don't misrepresent me in any kind of way. And then he says, if any of you decide that you want to say my name, you need to speak my words with faithfulness. You need to be careful if you put my name in your mouth, because if I find that you have said something about me that's not true, you're not going unpunished. Just like I did to Abraham and like I did to Moshe and his brother Aaron, I will do the same thing to you. Don't you understand that?
Got to sanctify his name, brother. Got to
sanctify his name. He said, you guys did not sanctify my name in front of the people of Israel. So anybody who desires to be a leader, so if you guys notice, when I'm teaching, I only say, well, this is what Yahweh says. I'm safeguarding myself against any, don't ever say what you think and what you believe. That doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what did he say? We have to verify what he says. That's why you got to learn the language. Because you don't want to say something he did not say. The English translator said, oh, I wish they had a heart to fear me. Y'all never said that. And in Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse number 29, he never said, I wish they had a heart to fear me. Yeah, actually asked a question and said, me, who will give their heart to fear me?
Right. Why would it say wish? The Most High don't talk like that. That's magic talk. The Most High don't talk in magic talk. That is magic talk,
which is going to get you magically dealt with.
No, we don't wish nothing.
God never wished. God never made a wish. He says who. That word right there is not wish, is me. And me means who. Who would give their heart to fear me? So Yah's asking, and it was a mekah. Who? Which one of them? Which one of you will give your heart to fear me? And the answer to that, only the person who knows themselves be the one who give the answer. I will. Hine. Who will send? Who will I send? And guess what Isaiah said?
Isaiah, I will go. Send me. Cain, Isaiah, Cain.
Hine. Here I am.
Yes, I read that last night. You are absolutely correct, Cain.
Hine Anoki. See what I'm saying? So we got to be careful. But thank you guys for your time tonight. I praise the Holy One of Israel for you.
A great lesson, man.
You spent this part of your Shabbat with me in this time of learning and educating. And guess what? We're all.
I'll be back. I'll be back up here.
Yeah. If I make a mistake and you hear me make a mistake, correct me, please. Don't let me go, because I'm your brother. That's why I name myself Akika, because I'm your brother. And you need to tell me if I make a mistake. Because guess what I'm going to tell you? If you make a mistake, I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to try to just make sure we stay friends. No, I love you. I'm going to tell you the truth. And I'm going to do it in love. But sometimes my love is going to be firm.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Lila Tov to you all. I'll see you on the following next week.
Lila Tov, everybody.
Lila Tov.
Yeah.
Everyone have a great week. And may the Creator keep binding us with the cord of love and compassion and righteousness. And may we stay in Torah, stay in the heart, stay in the covenant, and keep chasing these blessings. Hallelujah.